Okay, so here's the problem. We have a baseball swing and we want to fix it. This is Coach Jay. He's from my Wednesday night team. Hey, Coach, hope you're watching. And we're going to give him a little feedback on his swing. We took some batting practice videos this week just to try to give everyone an idea of how they can improve their swing. So, as you'll see with Coach, he's got a classic baseball uppercut swing that just isn't quite giving him the results he wants in games. So let's go ahead and play through his con. Let's go ahead and play through his swings right here. All right, so right off the bat, we notice that Coach has the dreaded uppercut swing for softball. Now, this can be really effective in baseball, and there are some cases, like if you're a super power hitter, that you can connect with the ball and just hit it so far that it doesn't matter. But in most of our cases, this upward swing path is just not going to work out for us here. Um, and the reason why is because if you connect with the ball, it's going to go up, but that's usually just a pop fly. If you miss under the ball, it's definitely an infield pop fly or outfield pop fly. If you hit the top of the ball, you can have some success with a little bit of a top spin shot, but most of those mishits are going to turn into weak grounders. So you'll see, like, as we play through these again, most of Coach's hits turn into weak grounders that are very fieldable and easy outs. And that's the last thing you want to do. Now, I included this last one right here because it was probably the best swing of the first four. And you can see that he got the timing right, hit the right part of the ball, and got sort of a line drive, but it's probably right to shortstop anyway. And even though the ball's hit hard here. So, how do we go about fixing that? Like I said before, there's basically 5 easy steps. And so, basically, let's go through. Before we do that, let's look at what's going right and what's going wrong. So, the easiest things to find out first are for sure the stuff that's going wrong. So let's take a look here. I would say I'm kind of neutral on this stance. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad. I think it's neutral. I think there's plenty of worse stances you could have, and I think that objectively there's nothing really wrong with it. The one thing that helps me with my load on the back end of the swing, I guess at the front end of the swing, would be having my weight shifted to my back foot because it helps me realize like that's where I need to be in order to generate power on the backswing. So if anything, I would maybe just lean a little bit back. I like that he's standing tall because you need to stand tall in slow pitch in order to hit the ball that's coming in, especially on higher pitches that we have in Santa Monica. So this is the move that I hate in for slow pitch. This bringing your body down, this kind of crouching and then leading with your chest downward like this. And the reason I don't like that is it because it leaves us kind of weak. There's nowhere to go from here, right? So the thing that I would change is to keep your posture high for as long as possible. Okay, the next thing is that in his load, watch his hands. They start here. Let's mark it up. They start up here. And as he goes down to load, they end down here. So if we go back and forth, you can kind of see high to low. And actually, you want it to be the opposite. During your load, you want your hands to start lower so that they have somewhere to go high. They actually don't have to start low, they can just start high and stay high. But for me, it's easier to get the feeling of getting your hands high in your downswing if you start low. So this is all going to help with the swing path, right? So when you have your hands go high to low, naturally, like where can your hands go from here, right? They're going to have to loop upwards, and that gives us the undesirable swing path. Even though you get a good bat on the ball, it's just an undesirable swing path for softball. So let's go back. Load, stance is okay, neutral. Load, down instead of back. We want that weight to be back, hands back. Now another thing is his pivot foot. So coach does have a pretty good pivot foot. You want to be pivoting around this foot along this axis here. And you can see he does that pretty well. And once you land on that foot, you really don't want your waist to be moving in this direction. You really do not want it moving in this direction, because you'll lose power. So coach does another thing right here, is look at his arms at the contact of the ball. It's almost at full extension, not quite. You can see the bat is a little behind, but his arms are fully locked out, and catching the ball out in front of the plate, which is where you want to catch it. And he does a pretty good job of getting his arms long at the end. So yeah, I would say a handful of things he does really good, and a handful of things that we have to fix in order to get him to start hitting more line drives. I am going to quickly switch over to my swing to kind of show these examples, how they should be implemented. So you can see my stance is pretty even, but most of my weight here is on my back foot, so that when I get into my load, I'm loading backwards and get those hands really deep. So you can see my hands are not dropping down in terms of like compared to where my shoulders are. My hands are not dropping. They're just getting back. My stride, I have a pretty big stride here, but as soon as I get my plant foot, my hips do not move forward. They stay there and they pivot around this foot. My hands, and this is the biggest key, is watch my hands from here to the ball. It's a level, if not downward swing. And you know it's downward because after contact, at full extension, you can see my bat goes down around my body. So to put it into words, the 5 steps that I would take to fix your swing are to first fix your load. Load back on your back foot with your hands back and high. The next thing is the angle of attack. Because your hands are high, your angle of attack will be level and downward. This will allow you to drive the ball hard. Boom. The third thing is the snap. Now, we haven't really talked about this yet, but it's the snap of the bat. And something that I did really well in this swing is got my hands to the ball first. Hands are headed towards the ball, and my bat is lagging behind here. What that will allow you to do is, in just a matter of a few frames here in the video, literally one frame, goes from behind my shoulder to at the ball. And that's just the amount of bat speed you can generate with that snap is insane. So the snap is the next. So we have the load, the angle of attack, the snap of the bat, the pivot is the fourth around your leg, and the fifth is getting long. So a lot of times with baseball swings, we have this short, compact swing. That is just not the case in softball because you want the bat to be whipping around. We don't have to time up a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, that's the point of a compact swing, is so that the bat is in the zone for a long period of time. But in slow pitch softball, we have all the time in the world to hit the bat. Trust your bat speed. Snap at the ball, and you will get so much driving power with backspin that will allow the ball to hit the gaps in the outfield with insane speed. All right, let's get back to coach. So I actually tell coach here, yeah, after these first couple swings, I want you to swing down, get the feeling of swinging down because those upward swings are just going to result in pop-ups and rollovers. Feel that swinging down. And here he is actually attempting it for the first time. And the hard part about practice, especially when you're implementing something new, is that you're going to get bad results oftentimes when you do something right. So it's easier said than done, but try not to be results oriented when you're trying something new. And you can see coach kind of gets frustrated. But I want to illustrate here. This is easily his best swing in the entire video because he stays a little bit taller than usual. Not as tall as I'd like him to get. But his angle of attack here is much, much better. It's much better. Not quite down, but it's still a little loopy. Despite the result, that is a great swing. And now the very next pitch, you can kind of see he reverts to this upward angle. And lo and behold, he actually hits it right on the sweet spot and sends the ball pretty far. Unfortunately, even though it's great contact with the ball, that kind of hit in slow pitch softball is just going to get caught so often in the outfield. And this is kind of like where the problems arise with the baseball swing, is like even when you get perfect middle contact, you're just hitting it to the spot where the defender usually is, unless you've got massive power. Like these are the kind of shots that like the really big guys will hit out of the park. Like the guys that 1 in 20 swings will just hit an absolute nuke, and you and you're wondering where the heck did that power come from? It's because they connect middle like that, but it's just so inconsistent. And really the only way that's going to work is if you have the power to clear the outfielders. So even on a great hit like this, it's just ineffective for slow pitch, and that's where we really have to drive home the concept of that downward swing, because that is where hitting the gaps is just so important, and you'll actually get more power out of it too. Coincidentally, like you'll end up hitting the ball further when you hit the backspin like that. I included a couple of my grounders in here too, because I wanted to show how mishitting with this approach that I'm taking is a base hit. Like I was trying to hit a line drive, I got on top of the ball, but because I generate so much power from my snap and my legs, the ball just rockets through the infield. And now here's another one. Yep, just a missile through the infield. Yeah, another and another. And then this is really the desired result here. It's just a missile to the outfield gap. On Uncatchable. All right, back to coach. Yeah, he's kind of reverting back to this upward swing because he has had success. Like he's not someone who can't get hits, right? He's a very athletic person who knows he's got good hand-eye coordination, knows how to get hits. But in terms of consistency, like this swing path is just he's getting good feedback on the bat. Like he's getting good contact and it feels good, and the ball is going, is hit pretty hard. But like I said before, like it's just to the wrong spots, right? To beat softball, you have to be able to you have to hit the ball super hard on the ground, super hard in the gaps, or just super far like that. And there's a place for, weak hits, but you can find other YouTube channels for that. I want to help you generate bat speed, power, and drive the ball. So yeah, and you can see like he gets some. Here's his opposite field hit, and it actually works out here. But why does it work out, right? Why does that shot work out? And the reason is because he kind of gets the side of the ball instead of under it, because the bat kind of becomes vertical here. And because he hit the side of the ball, that's how he gets a line drive. But that's just it's so inconsistent to get a line drive like that, right? The best way to get a line drive is to have backspin with a downward angle. All right, coach. So to recap for your swing, what I want you to do next time, I want you to work on this stride. Instead of coming down here with your hands, I want those hands to go back. I want your body to move backwards as your first move instead of down. So instead of chest down and hands still, or your hands are actually dropping, I want you to rock back on your hips and get those hands up and back, so that when you try to stab the ball, like you are here, you have a pretty good job of getting to your full extension. When you try to stab the ball, your swing path will be downward or even. And because you're standing tall, you'll be able to catch the ball here, right where you want it. You already do a pretty good job of pivoting around your front foot. That's wonderful. And you already do a pretty good job of getting those hands long. That's great extension here. You're at full extension at the contact, and your back goes all the way around. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd like a little bit less forward lean after your swing. I think that's just maybe a result of, oh yeah, I guess you kind of do it on most swings here. And really get that downward angle. This is kind of the lean that you want to see, like when you finish. One more thing I noticed when he was practicing the downward swing here, bringing his hands close to his ear like this. So that is the path that you want to go. That's the perfect path of, you want to exaggerate it in practice, obviously. But it's probably feels like it feels awkward here. Get those hands back over here, and that's going to feel like it's just going to, the snap through the zone is just going to feel so natural. Like, my hands start here, back. Look at that. Look how far away. Look at that space. Um, that space between my head and my hands here. Like that's what you want to see when your plant foot lands. You just have, yeah, here's the problem illustrated, is you just have nowhere to go. If you're not getting long in the backswing, your hands have nowhere to go. There's no time for them to travel up to the ball and generate speed. So especially with that downward coil, look at look your hands. Like, yeah, this is the most clear way to kind of present the problem here. Is your hands have nowhere to go. You're short arming the ball. There's no way you could generate power, and with that upward swing, you're just going to get pop ups and grounders. So yeah, you have a couple things to think about here. For sure, your load needs to come backwards. For sure, your hands need to load further away from your body. And for sure, we need to get rid of this upward path and drive the ball, because that's how we're going to get hard hit grounders, liners in the gap, and eventually you'll get the backswing on the bottom half of the ball, the backspin on the bottom half of the ball for deep, deep drives.